Yeah, long time, guys. Well, not too long. Anyways, um, so to recap, I was continuing load development for the 6.5 PRC since I decided to go back with that. A couple of things have happened. Ended up catching COVID. First time ever. I was around it for years. I caught it right around 4th of July and it sucked. Um, Recovered. Um, Rifle match came up. What was it? ELR match. It's coming up in September. They finally opened up registration. They decided they were going to do it, so I signed up for it, which made me really decide I need to get my button gear and get the rifle ready. So 6.5 PRC with 140 ELD match bullets. Um, it should be a good competition. There's going to be bigger stuff out there, bigger 30 cals, probably some 338s for ELR because these targets are from 750 yards to 2,300 yards. So we'll see how I do. This will really show me as a shooter, my mechanics, my fundamentals, and also my rifle's capabilities and how well this performs at extreme distance. 2,300 yards, the furthest target. That's gonna be that's gonna be wild. So I'm really getting on to getting the most precise reloads I can for this weapon system between the brass, the powder, which in fact I have humidity packs coming to store in the powder, so that way the powder stays the same humidity, which from Brian Litz and Science of Accuracy podcast, their data is showing that has more influence on muzzle velocity variation and fluctuation than temperature. So I got some of those coming, so I'm gonna store it in all my powder, so that way it's as consistent as possible. And the ELR game consistency is that's all of it mostly. Um, so, anyways, last week took the rifle out and got some chrono data, and at the same time I did a seating depth test. I only fired 2 shots per seating depth because it's a stable platform and everything. So you can see how these groups went, and this is why I perform a seating depth test and I continue going. Like Eric Cortina says, 3,000 increments. This is with the brass that I have fully prepped with deburring flash holes, uniforming primer pockets, and put some extra care into also neck turning. Um, Everything is as consistent. It's horny brass, but the steps I took was consistency. And ultimately, you'll see it goes a long way. This is where people think, oh, I don't notice a difference, but I feel as though it is worth it. If you want to grab every ounce of precision out of your hand load, take the time to do the extra steps if you want to. That's up to you. You can still get good results, but if you want the best you can get, it doesn't hurt. Um, Start here, 2 shots at 2.230 inches, based ogive, and then 2 shots here. That was one hole. I got a little excited, not gonna lie, but I thought, alright, let's see how the next one does. Yeah, it didn't stay touching or one hole. These are still good groups. These are still really good groups, honestly. They really are. Went down. These were sighters because I was re-zeroing the rifle. Then here's where it starts to get good. This one measured at 0.406 inches. Granted, it's 2 shots. Then here, that one was 0.268 inches. Okay, so 3 thousandths down. Then we go here. That was 0.241 inches. And then I finished off at 2.209 inches. These two were 0.356 inches center to center. So my last three 2 shot groups, really consistent and good. They were small, touching, and consistent throughout the seating depth. So that's the seating depth I picked. That's what's gonna give me the best consistency. and obviously precision. I mean, throughout the whole test, these are still smaller groups. I mean, they were still sub half inch, which is really good. That made me very happy. Um, so that was last week, and then this week I decided, okay, I need to fine tune my load. So after the seating depth, I went back to my powder charge. Now, when I had the muzzle brake on and I ran 53.5 grains of MRP, my muzzle velocity was around 2,900 feet per second. When I put the suppressor on, that muzzle velocity jumped with the same charge to 3,000 feet per second. Suppressor bumped up the velocity. Um, no surprise, really isn't. I've always, that's probably the most that my rifle's given, but at least 50 feet per second, I've seen an increase in velocity. So, here's what I did today. Confirming powder charges, I did 53.2, 53.5, 53.8. So I took that 53.5 and then I went 0.3 grains in each direction to see if I was still within that flat spot node. But mostly I was looking for group sizes because I know I'm in the velocity flat spot and it's very consistent. When I did the testing with the two-shot seating depth test, my average was 3,007 feet per second with an extreme spread of like 9 and an SD of 5. That's that's good. It means I'm right there. It should be good. That's pretty consistent for what I have. So it's a little confusing, but then again, it's not. Two separate rows. Um, this row was those three charges, 3 shots each. That was top row. Bottom row was the same thing, but it was with Hornady brass from a different lot that I didn't. Uniform primer pockets, deburr flash holes, and didn't neck turn. That was the only difference. So you tell me, does uniforming primer pockets, deburring flash holes, and neck turning, apparently people don't see a difference? Well, I do. Now granted, these down here are still decent groups for anybody, everybody. We're getting half-inch groups at the bottom. But ultimately, looking at the top. So this confirms I need to get that brass sorted out and uniform primer pockets, deburr flash holes, and neck turn. Um, that's what really works the way I developed the load, because that's what I started out with was brass that was uniform primer pockets, deburring flash holes, and neck turning. Now, if you start load development without doing that to your brass, and you still get these results, and then you turn around and decide, what if I neck turn? What if I go ahead and deburr flash holes and uniform primer pockets? You could get that result too, because the way the load was developed was for the brass that was set up in that condition, prepped that way. Maybe I'll revisit that test down the road. I don't know. But anyways, so my scope wasn't truly zeroed. I had a Fowler shot here when I was aiming at this bottom triangle. I was more or less looking for group sizes and consistency. Um, Towards the end, at these last 3-shot groups, on number 3 and then number 6, I zeroed it up some. But my first 3-shot group, I was aiming right here, tip of the triangle. I thought I was actually hitting in the triangle, but this is a gray target, and through the scope, despite it being a Vortex, a Viper that's got clear glass, at full power, I really couldn't notice, but I was focused on just the fundamentals. I didn't see anything outside the triangle, so I thought, okay, they're probably just all right in there. Well, it turns out my first 3-shot group was right here at 53.2 grains. Then I went down to this one and did 53.2 grains. So you can see it's just bigger. So then I turned around and adjusted my windage some. And I did this 3-shot group with 53.5. I had one out, a flyer. I mean, it could have been me, but tough to say. That was still a 0.58 inch group, this 3-shot group. Then I turned around, had the last triangle on each row was 53.8 grains. This was still sub half inch. A little bit of vertical, but I was stable with each shot. I took my time and had little influence on the weapon system. I was consistent the whole time, everything. What really sparked me was 53.2 grains. That is really small group. 2 in one hole and 1 touching it. I wrote down the measurements up here using the Range Buddy app. So that group measured 3 shots at 0.23 inches. So quarter inch, which is 0.22 MOA. And I also wrote down the mean radius. So mean radius comes in play for ELR too. Mean radius of 0.1 MOA. Very nice. 53.5 was 0.58 inches. Still good, respectable group. Mean radius of 0.24 inches or 0.23 MOA. And then for 53.8 grains, it was a 0.44 inch group, sub half inch. Mean radius was 0.16 inches or 0.15 MOA. That's really good. So all 3 of those are good. Something must have happened there. I don't know what, because with how consistent these groups are small. Of course, the 53.2 was the smallest, and then the 53.5 and 53.8 opened up. Essentially, almost double. Granted, it's still half inch. We'll say these last 2 half inch, but the 53.2 grains was quarter. So if you take quarter, double it, half inch. Either way, that is really good. So that's phenomenal. I think the load is pretty much set now. Now it's just confirming the data on out to distance. Now that I have the load sorted out, I have it just about finally zeroed to where I want it. So next range trip out, I will confirm the zero that it's good. And I'll do a scope tracking test to make sure my scope's tracking the way it should. It's proper adjustments, and if not, then I can put the adjustments and the percentage into the Applied Ballistics app, so that way out to distance I'm getting proper information based on how accurate my scope is with the adjustments on the turret, and also it's not fogging up my data downrange. So all in all, that's good. And I'm also going to take the other Hornady brass that wasn't shooting that good. I'm going to do the brass prep on it, the full prep that I did with this brass that I am using. They're both Hornady, but I'm just going to run through, do the same thing I did, confirm, which I'm sure it'll be good. The groups are in a good triangle type pattern, so I'm sure once I line out the uniforming primer pockets, deburring flash holes, neck turn, quick little thing, it should be right there with the rest of it, because I need 50 rounds for this match. It's not a big match, it's a one day, but I need about 50 rounds to compete, and I had 25 pieces of brass that wasn't used, that was new. So I wanted to stay with the same brand. I still have a bunch of 6.5 PRC brass. I have Gunworks brand, but I didn't have enough of it. I didn't want to mess with it. I have a lot of the Hornady, and it's shooting well. So that'll be next, is just confirm the tracking of it, and then take it out the distance. I mean, actually, I don't even, now that I think about it, I don't even need to do the scope tracking because I did that already with this scope last year. So I know it's tracking good. So all I gotta do now is just confirm zero. I'll get some velocity data, but I'm gonna confirm the velocity out the distance because it doesn't hurt to double check. It never hurts to double check the velocity, because just because you have a magnetospeed lab radar that's pretty much 99% accurate, doesn't hurt to confirm it, because what's the worst of it? You hit right where it says it's gonna, and you can confirm, yeah, that's right. So I still have a little bit of time to get ready for the match. Trying to think. Yeah, so all in all, that's really good. That's still with the factory barrel. Truthfully, I'd like to put a barrel tuner on it, so we'll see how that goes. But if you guys could think of anything, let me know. I'm becoming very thorough with this, so it's a step by step, and I know some of the videos aren't matching up, but I am staying in line with the load development process. I'm hitting 100 yards. I'm not going straight out the distance. I'm making sure everything's buttoned up one step at a time. So now that it is buttoned up, I can just confirm my zero, make sure my zero is good, and then once my zero is good, then I will immediately go out the distance and confirm. It's going to be a tough match. I'm going to try and record it. I'm going to try and use the TAPS cam for it. And it should be pretty good. Yeah, 750 yards is the closest target, so be good. Out to 2300s, but I think it'll be fun, especially pushing beyond the limits, they say, of this cartridge, because you get to see what it really does. I mean, you get to get raw data. And the good thing too, at the same time, since they pushed it back 1 month, it was supposed to be August, now they pushed it to September. The good thing is this is right before opening day for hunting out here in Wyoming. To be specific, 5 days before. So I will have up-to-date data for this rifle and load combination. So will I be taking a shot that far? No. I think the situation depending, 1,000 yards would be the max, because I just need the bullet to perform. So I need to have enough impact velocity. And I think at 1,000 yards I have over 1,650 feet per second, which is still enough for the ELD match. But we shall see. So this is actually becoming pretty fun. Like, this is amazing seeing how I took brass that I prepped from the beginning, and then I took the same brand of brass. Granted, it's a different lot of brass, but it shows the amount of work put in does make a difference. But I think it makes a difference depending on if you start your load development with the fully prepped brass or without fully prepping it. That's the question to me. I think if I turned around and did not prep any of the brass, and then turned around and decided to prep brass, it'd be flip-flopped. So I think it's based on where you start. So keep that in mind, where you're going to start from the beginning, and make sure you do that every single time. So So I'd say for now, I just had to try and get out today and get that done. Um, yeah, that's really good so far. So should have some long range footage coming up soon. I'm gonna do some taps cam footage and stuff like that. Um, so we got the match coming up. I'd really like to go into that match with a heavier hitting cartridge for more ELR, preferably like 338 Lapua. Stuff's hard to come by, but I think this will really be a good test to see where I'm at and really see where I need to work on with fundamentals more than anything. I think this is just a test with me as a shooter. The weapon system is obviously shooting great, very tight groups, great consistent loads. So now it's on me, and this is going to be fun. I mean, it's going to be really fun. So, till next time.